and you will see the rates. 30-year fixed dropped 14 basis points to 6.13%. Now, look, I've talked about I'd like to be at 5.5% on a mortgage. I just feel like that's a fair number. I mean, if it starts going down enough, people are going to start jumping back in. National Association of Realtors has said that it'll be below 6 by then in 2023. I'm surprised by that. For a while, we were seeing a very big spread between the borrowing rate and the mortgage rate, which was uncharacteristic. It looks like now that wide space is getting a little tighter, which I think is a good thing. So we'll move on now. This is the Google Trends article. It is politics. We're going to look at it from a political and business perspective. I am blown away by this stupid move by a former president. It says Donald Trump's launch of $99 NFT sparks a 10% decline in Digital World SPAC linked to Truth Social. It says the Digital World acquisition fell 10% on Thursday after Donald Trump launched a line of $99 NFTs. Trump has teased a major announcement on Wednesday that led to a spike in Digital World stock price. Those gains were erased on Thursday as SPAC investors, I'm just going SPAC, digested Trump's NFT announcement. Now look, Trump has had I think he had a line of ties. He had Trump University. That didn't go very well, I guess. Although I read some of the books by the guys that were, in Trump University. I thought they were pretty interesting. And then I think he had stakes at one point in time, Trump stakes. And I know they had an airline at one point in time. He also had the casinos at one point in time. So what would I say about Trump and his businesses? Well, he tries. Does he fail sometimes? Yes. This to me was ridiculous. Let's just look at the first paragraph. It says former President Donald Trump's launch of $99 digital NFTs failed to gin up excitement among investors in the Digital World acquisition SPAC that is seeking to merge with Trump's Truth Social. Now look, you cannot tell me that any president in our history, former president or current president, would try to sell NFTs. That's crazy. And then to try and sell them when the market for NFTs just blew up. It's like, what are you doing? It just doesn't show like a level of I'm not the president, and I don't even invest in NFTs or Bitcoin or anything, but even I know the market's just totally dead on those. I mean, they just blew up once the Bitcoin bros just kind of ate it. So shares of Digital World acquisition initially spiked as much as 10% on Wednesday after Trump teased a major announcement. The stock had a knack for rallying ahead of anticipated Trump rallies and other developments related to his 2024 reelection bid. It's very odd. Why would the stock rally on a rally? Like, a Trump rally. Like, why would it? What does that have to do with the Truth Social? As far as like subscribers, how much time they spend on the platform, etc. Says, but Digital World stock gave up all those gains on Thursday after the major announcement turned out to be the launch of Donald Trump digital trading card collection at a time when the crypto and NFT market has been decimated. That's exactly right. I mean, they have been decimated. Why are you coming out with this? Like this, if you came out with this maybe 4 months ago, maybe. I mean, what was the point? Like, I don't even understand. It says, These limited edition cards feature amazing art of my life and career. Collect all of your favorite Trump digital trading cards. Very much like a baseball card, but hopefully much more exciting. Only $99 each. Would make a great Christmas gift. Don't wait. They will be gone, I believe, very quickly. Trump posted on Truth Social. Now, look. Why the former president, who I criticized Drew Brees for having $160 million net worth, and he's out there hawking like gambling from Australia. I said that was in poor taste. I mean, seriously, how much is enough? This is also in poor taste. How much money is enough? How much wealth? How much fame? You're going to try to sell NFTs? Said, instead, investors likely wanted to hear from Trump either something related to his run for the U.S. presidency in 2024, or perhaps even more importantly, developments related to Truth Social and their pending merger with Digital World Acquisition. The SPAC so far has been unable to obtain the necessary amount of shareholder votes to approve their proposed merger with Trump's social media company and Twitter competitor. Instead, SPAC secured enough votes to delay its merger deadline with Truth Social until 2023. If the SPAC fails to complete the merger by then, it will have to refund its investors $10 per share. The stock currently trades at around $20, suggesting 50% downside from the current levels if the deal doesn't go through. Now, to be fair, it spiked 10%. We don't know. I mean, I don't know what the symbol is for it. Let me see if I can. Okay, here you go. 20.14. I don't have a good, like, there's no, oh, is this the graph? Okay. Here's the graph. I mean, you can see it's not doing well. I don't know why you would want to do volume. I would just do price. I don't even have a chart. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, did it go down that much? I mean, here in March, that's when it was doing well. Now it's like, ugh. So I'm just lackluster. I mean, is Barack Obama out there selling NFTs? Is Jimmy Carter out there selling NFTs? Is George Bush II selling NFTs? Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, selling? I mean, no. Now, it just wasn't good. So I'm just saying it. Now I've seen somewhere where Trump did make an announcement on social media policies and stuff like that. It just seems like he's a step behind with everything. Not getting off to a good start, but who knows? Who knows? Now, I wanted to talk about this because I think people want to believe that buying a home is like a good thing, which it is, but that there's like no need to protect yourself over time from that purchase. And in St. Louis, just recently in the county, they've got this system that they're using to try and keep deeds from being stolen. And so we'll go over this article. I think this is a perfect example of right now what's happening in America with property deeds. And it's a weird thing because if you steal a car, the evidence that you've done so is that the car is missing. When you steal a deed, the house is still there. You just don't own it. Very scary stuff, and should be prosecuted heavily. However, I no longer think that I no longer think that prison time of any amount is sufficient deterrent to keep people from committing crimes. Like no one shoots somebody and says, "Oh, I could get 10 years or life in prison." They just shoot the person. There's not like a second layer of thought there. I don't know, maybe you think that's dumb. Put it in the comments, put it in the chat. Let's get going. Okay, here we go. It says 3 arrested in Queens deed thefts, 5 at large. Attorney General. The Attorney General alleges an 8-person ring stole homes worth $1 million. Now, just off the top of my head, 8-person ring stole homes worth $1 million total. It's not very much, especially in New York City, Queens. All right. Last month, Attorney General Letitia James called on New York lawmakers to consider deed theft a standalone crime to make it easier to bring offenders to justice. So if you bring them to justice, again, is that not already illegal? It says, in the meantime, though, James is making do. The Attorney General's office said Friday it indicted 5 members of a deed theft ring for allegedly stealing 3 Queens homes worth more than $1 million, like total. So, I mean, just the math, like 350, 325, 330-ish, 332. They don't seem like the biggest, the most expensive houses. 3 of the ring members were arrested Thursday. Stacey Saunders, Anichki Hercules, and Jerry Curran were charged with money laundering, grand larceny, conspiracy, a scheme to defraud, forgery, and criminal impersonation, among other counts. Now, that seems like a lot. 2 others, Marcus Wiltshire and Dean Lloyd, remain at large. 3 unnamed members of the ring have yet to been found, which is kind of interesting. It says the maximum sentence is 15 years, according to the Attorney General. So, again, if you can get away with it, is worth 15 years in jail. It says that now this is what I want to go over because this is how it happens. It says the scheme started in September of 2019 when Wiltshire began to identify rundown houses with absentee owners in Jamaica and St. Albans. Saunders would then market the Queens homes to investors at cheap prices to spur quick sales. So, like, say a house is worth like $100,000 and you put it out to market for $50,000. You're going to get people to want to buy it because it's not out of the goodness of their heart that they're going there. They're going there to make money. Hercules, a disbarred lawyer. Now, this is the part that's a little dicey. So we've got a disbarred lawyer. You know, you have to really, really do something to get disbarred. That one guy, I believe his name is Eric Sussman. That guy forged documents and emails, caused all kinds of problems with the Russian collusion. He didn't get anything. Nothing. He wasn't disbarred or anything. Many attorneys should be disbarred for their actions. There's no question, but it just doesn't happen. The mechanism is, run by attorneys, and so they're loath to not protect their own. Anyway, he would forge legal documents such as driver's licenses and social security cards for the actual owners and assume the identity of a practicing attorney to send legal correspondent, according to the indictment. So he's pretending to be a lawyer and he's not. For closings and contract signings, Wiltshire and Saunders would find people to impersonate the owners. Now, this is key. Now, this is one of the reasons why, like when I go to a title company for a closing, they want my ID or my buyers or sellers IDs. They want to match that with the information they have to prove it's that person. It says, in the theft of 161-14 121 Avenue, Curran, a member of the homeowner's family, played along with the scheme. Now, that to me is, a member of my own family is helping someone steal my deed to my house. The ring member appeared at the closing of his family home with someone pretending to be his sister and the executor of the family estate. That, I hate that person just for what they did. I just hate them. After the sales closed, the accused opened bank accounts in the names of the real owners and funneled more than $1 million in sales proceeds into them. Each of the homes was sold to a separate liability company. It says 339 176th Street went to a firm associated with BB Kahn, a real estate agent, 16114 121 Avenue sold to a company associated with broker Mostik Ahmed, and 16811 Avenue went to BJ Rising, BZ, which had no associated officer. It says Khan and Ahmed could not be reached for comment. Look, some of the things. So first, if a deal's too good to be true, is it? Oh, I think so. I think so. I really do. Now, would it be wrong for a real estate agent to buy a house that they saw on the MLS that was low priced? No. And then as far as, with the press saying, well, how do you feel about getting burned on your deal? I mean, how are you supposed to feel? Miserable. Anyway, don't steal real estate deeds. This is from Schiff Gold. Says, as expected, let's look at the title. The Fed hikes rates to the highest level since 2007. That's a big problem. As expected, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates by 50 basis points at the December Federal Open Market Committee meeting. That pushed the federal funds rate to 4.5%. The last time rates were this high was in 2007. That's bad news for the economy, or that's bad news for an economy addicted to easy money. While the pace of rate hikes slowed, the messaging coming out of the Fed was substantially the same as the November meeting. My understanding is the actual statement had one word that was changed between the November and December statement. Okay, here you go. Look at that. The official FOMC statement was nearly identical to the November statement. The committee only made some slight changes to the verbiage describing the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war on the global economy. The messaging related to the future's trajectory of monetary policy was unchanged. The statement said the committee anticipates that ongoing increases in the target range will be appropriate in order to attain a stance of monetary policy that is sufficiently restrictive to return inflation at 2% over time. Now, there's been talk that the Fed is going to abandon their 2% target and go to a 4% target. I think that's crazy. I think that's ridiculous. I think that if they can't keep it at 2% now, there's no way they're keeping it at 4% or 6% or 8% or any percent. It also said the committee will continue to take into account cumulative tightening and the lags with which money policy affects economic activity and inflation as it makes future decisions. I think that they are already wrong. Just personally, in January, I was saying, tighten. You've got to get a hold of this. It's getting out of hand. Nothing. Transitory inflation was transitory. As he did after the November meeting, Federal Reserve President Jerome Powell sounded a hawkish tone. He said, "We have more work to do," and emphasized that rates will move higher and stay higher longer than initially anticipated. My view and my colleagues' view is that this will take some time. We have a long ways to go to get back to price stability. That doesn't sound good. Let's continue. Powell also dismissed the notion that the central bank might cut rates next year. Powell claimed that the Fed has now pushed interest rates into restrictive territory, but it's unclear how he arrived at this conclusion. With the CPI still over 7%, real interest rates remain negative. That means that the Fed continues to run an accommodative monetary policy. Yes, the Fed has tightened significantly, but it's still behind the inflation curve. In effect, it has slowed the flow of gasoline in the inflammatory fire, but it continues to pour gasoline on the inflationary fire. When asked about the pain of inflation, Powell said Americans would suffer worse pain if the central bank failed to act and let inflation run out of control. In a tweet, Peter Schiff said this is a moot point. Inflation is already out of control, and the time for the Fed to have acted to prevent it without triggering a severe financial crisis has long since passed. We're going with Peter Schiff. Nevertheless, Powell continued to hold out hope for a soft landing, meaning that he thinks the Fed can defeat inflation without tipping the economy into a recession. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But despite his optimism, he confessed he really doesn't know the trajectory of the economy. I don't think anyone knows whether we're going to have a recession or not. And if we do, whether it's going to be a deep one or not, it's not knowable. This is the Fed. This guy's screwing with the levers of the Fed, okay, screwing with the levers of the economy, and says, I have no idea what's going to happen, which is an honorable thing to say. I'd rather him say that than, we got things under control when clearly they don't. But the Fed's problem, I disagree with Powell's assertion about a recession. I think it's a virtual certainty that the economy will spiral into a downturn. And I don't think it will be short and shallow. I think it will be deep and prolonged. I do too. In fact, there's plenty of evidence to conclude that the economy is already in recession. Now, look, I look around at the people that have jobs, okay? And like government jobs. Do you think someone that has a government job is going to lose their job because of a recession? I don't. And then you look at education, so colleges, secondary education. Do you think that there's going to see any meaningful decline in endowments or in employments? I mean, some of these schools, I think it was Harvard, has more administrators than they do students. I mean, do you think they're gonna? You look at charities. How many charities are there in the world? How many charities get funding from the federal government? Do you think they're going to lay off people? I mean, who's getting laid off? The people that work in corporate America? How many jobs in the United States now are not dependent on like China, are not dependent on like a company that operates, a multinational basically? And who concentrates just on the United States anymore? The people that are going to get hammered are small businesses, your retail. The people that can the least afford to get whacked are going to get whacked. It says, my pessimism is rooted in the fact that the U.S. economy is addicted to easy money. It is. It is addicted to artificially low interest rates and quantitative easing. You can't take an addict's drug away without sending them into withdrawal. As already noted, interest rates haven't been this high since 2007. At that point, the Fed was cutting rates due to the housing bust. The economy couldn't handle interest rates that high. Rates peaked at 5.25% in 2006. That precipitated the housing bust and ultimately financial crisis of 2008. Today, the Fed has pushed rates within 1% of that level, but there's a major difference between then and now. The bubbles are bigger. There's more debt. There's more malinvestment. If the extent of the bust is commensurate with the extent of the boom, we're in for a doozy. Like this argument, okay, you can agree with it or not. This argument actually dates back to 2007, 2008 and says you just papered over a problem. You never fixed it. Powell and company have backed themselves into a corner. They just don't know it yet, or more likely they haven't admitted to it yet. During an interview, Peter Schiff explained why he thinks the recession is going to get a lot worse. Now, that doesn't mean the Fed shouldn't be raising rates. They should be. They should have raised them a lot more than they have. The problem is they never should have cut them. That was the mistake. It was cutting rates. Raising them back up is really just an acknowledgement of that mistake. But what happens is when the Fed raises rate, it uncovers all the problems that it created when it reduced rates. Because when it slashed interest rates to zero, it inflated a bubble economy and inflated with inflation. Quantitative easing was inflation. It's not good. I mean, based on that, the Real Deal has been writing some sweet articles lately.